Hey, what's going on, you guys? So today I'm not going to be introducing myself as SPC or doing any of the specialist stuff or anything. Today I am strictly just talking to you guys and doing this podcast as myself, as Austin. So I'm sure some of you guys are probably wondering what exactly this podcast is exactly about. Well, from the title of it, it is basically just me talking about basically some of the best people who have ever entered into my life. A big group of 8 friends who, throughout most of middle school and high school, were basically almost completely inseparable. Today, you guys, I am just basically going to give you not really a rundown, but basically give you guys just an overall talk or story about growing up. Basically this for me is a very personal video that I am going to be doing here today. So I guess without further ado, guys, let's just hop right into it. So this all starts way back in 2005. Yes, 2005, almost 15 years ago, is when I met a big majority of these friends. Now, don't get me wrong, there's been, a few here and there I didn't meet, but that'll be brought up later on. So, I remember going to middle school. I didn't really know a lot of people. I only knew, of course, the people I used to go to elementary school with. So I was kind of a lot more familiar with some of them. But of course, going into your first classes, going into your full forced day of middle school, you're going to meet a lot more new people you've never met before in your entire life. And it was actually in, I guess, I don't know what anybody of you guys would call it, but we called it home base. So basically, it was the very first class we sat in. We listened to a middle school news kind of TV show. And we kind of just, get caught up on homework, blah, blah, blah. But it was that class when I first met my first friend, Ethan. Of course, you guys all know Ethan. He's been here on the channel quite a number of times. But we just kind of started talking and started getting, a little more familiar with one another and whatnot. And the thing I remember first about Ethan, and I could still remember to this day because he still does it almost consistently every single time that I talk to the guy and I see him. I believe he sat behind me. So, but we used to have little baskets underneath our desks, and he'd always put his foot under there, and he'd always really just shake his leg just super, super bad. And he just constantly shook my desk, and I'd always have to turn around and be like, "Hey, are you about done there?" Yes, Star Wars and Star Trek guy. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong though. I mean, if I wouldn't have actually, gone through, met new people, probably wouldn't have ever met my friends, but then slowly started going into more and more classes throughout the day, and I started meeting more and more people. I believe it was later on in it was either English or math. I cannot honestly remember, but I think it was as when I met Travis. And wow, I'm drawing such a huge blank here. But again, same way. We started, talking whatnot, and got a little familiar with each other. And then Ethan later on is when I met Alan, my friend Alan, and Ethan introduced me to him, and then Travis introduced me to my friend Jeremy. So right then and there, I had 4 brand new friends, which was pretty cool. And the 5 of us were pretty cool, pretty tight for a good long while, and then we started getting into 8th grade. And then that's when I met our other 2 friends, John and Tony. Yeah, I know a lot of these names, a lot of these people you guys aren't going to know, but like I said, I wanted to talk about this because in a weird way, you guys have been doing a lot of like self-reflecting a lot lately, and just a lot of things have been coming to my mind. A lot of just old memories, old videos, old pictures, old everything. Everything's just been coming forward into my life again, and it's just made me really do a lot of thinking and just try to remember all like the good times I used to have with my old group of friends. And I've been trying to reach out to them, kind of reconnect with a lot of them, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. Yeah, then I started meeting John and Tony, and we all started hanging out, and it was actually 8th grade when the 7 of us were all very tight. And then we introduced our friend Kyle, which of course you guys should know Kyle. He was on here too before. But all after he joined, literally the 8 of us, we had such a close connection, a close bond. And it just really felt like, almost in a weird way, like we were our own weird little family. And we literally hung out all the time, any and every time that we could possibly do anything. But again, our bond really grew a lot more in 8th grade because we all actually started getting really close over. This is just my view. I mean, I don't know exactly how they feel about it or how they want to really say this all happened, but in my point of view, we all got close through the book called The Outsiders. And if you guys have never read The Outsiders, it is about 2 groups of people, the upper class known as the Socias and the lower class known as the Greasers. Of course, they all had grease-backed hair, leather jackets, all that stuff. But they basically had a big little, like, turf war in a sense. But the reason that we all got so close is because after reading that book and seeing how all of them characters were, I mean, all of them characters kind of, in a weird way, were like another little small family, which, again, with how really close we were, that's how I considered us. I considered us to be like brothers. And so many good memories. And like I said, like that book, just reading that book, and when we started watching the film in English class, we had to write a paper on it and everything. Like, it just made me really think a lot more. And of course, it also is what started us with our trends of us wearing our leather jackets to work or to school every single day. Walking around with backpacks, having our leather jackets on, wearing these chains on our wallets and stuff. I mean, like I really considered us not outcasts, but we consider ourselves our own little group in a sense. And it really didn't bother me. I didn't care if anybody wanted to make fun of us for wearing our leather jackets. People always did. We'd go to school dances, we'd hang out there for a while, and then right down the street was a park. We'd all go sit there on the benches. We'd sit there, we'd listen to music on one of my old CD players slash MP3 players. We'd just sit there, listen to music, talk, and just hang out. Like it was just it's even just times like that, even nowadays when you do that with people, it's such a good feeling to just sit there, relax, not have to just worry about anything, not have to worry about, drama that was going on at that dance or this girl wanting to get with that guy and all of that stuff. So we didn't care. We wanted to just do every and anything we could to just be together, hang out, do our own thing. And of course, as teenagers, we all had that sense of nothing can stop us, nothing will break us apart, all that kind of stuff. The next thing, though, that really got us all just super, super close together, 8th grade algebra class. Me, Jeremy, and Tony. It was basically like a free day. We could all get, caught up with homework, caught up with whatever we had to do. And we were pretty much already done. We had our own thing. So everybody got to just sit around, just, BS, do whatever. But me, Jeremy, and Tony sat there talking about a certain series that we all had in common that we all really enjoyed watching and being completely entertained by. And that show is Jackass. Yes, MTV's Jackass with Johnny Knoxville, Bam Margera, Wee Man, Steve-O, Chris Pontius, Preston Lacey, Dave England, Aaron McGehee. We just sat there for like a half hour just talking about what stunts we liked, who our favorite character was, what our favorite movie was, all that kind of stuff. And then I kind of brought it up as kind of a joke at first, but then I started really thinking about it, and I'm like, we could probably actually go and do this. So I brought up to them about maybe starting to do our own version of Jackass. And I was actually really surprised that Tony and Jeremy were basically all for it. And we at that point in time, sitting there in class, obviously there wasn't anything like super, super out there we could do, but the only thing we really did was grab these paper clips and pinch each other in the back of the arm and stuff. That was basically like very mediocre stuff. So we brought it up to all the guys one day during lunchtime, and they were all for it too. Everybody was all for it, enjoying it. And so I went to my grandparents' house because I used to walk from school down to their house because they didn't live too far away from school. That's into whole new personal levels that I don't want to really get into with that. But so started looking around their house, and I found out that they had a video camera. This was like an old school video camera, like one of them really big, huge ones that had the cassette tape that you needed to put in it in order to record. Like it almost basically literally felt like you were like an actual director sitting there directing stuff when you were using this camera. So I told them all that, and I asked them what they thought about filming it. And again, everybody was for it. And I can really tell you, we had a lot of good memories with that. just, making videos, hanging out again, doing all these what nowadays I call quote unquote stunts. I mean, back then, we thought they were funny, we thought they were hilarious. We we had a blast. We didn't care. It was just basically a way for us to again, get together, hang out, come up with ideas and stuff. And man, we went all over town filming. We rode our bikes places. We did a lot of our stuff at our friend John's house. So, John, man, if you were listening, got to thank you. Got to thank your mom. Rest in peace, man. Got to thank all of that. Yeah, we used to go behind in his backyard, and we used to sit there and film and do stuff. Go into the front yard. We set up a trash can, like one of them big black trash cans. We set them up in the middle of the the sidewalk. Yeah, that thing. Wow. And we would just basically take his skateboard and we would just ride down on it on our bellies, and we would just go head first into the trash can. And yeah, we did a bunch of other things. We took bikes, went into trash cans. I mean, probably one of this one's going to be kind of messed up, but it's hilarious. One of my favorite ones we did is we did a different version of what was called the tee off in Jackass, where basically they would hit a golf ball off each other's crotches. Well, we didn't want to go that far because we didn't have, cups or anything like that to protect ourselves. So we decided to just basically take the golf ball and put it on the other person's rear end and try to hit the golf ball off of there. And we only did it to two people. We did it to Ethan. And that was, those were such good comedy moments. And we also did it to our friend Kyle, which is kind of funny too, because like about a year ago, he was talking to me about something, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when I hit that golf ball off your ass. And he's like, you did what? I'm like, yeah, don't you remember? I hit a golf ball off you and hit more of your tailbone than I did the golf ball. And he's like, oh my God. That's probably why I have problems when I sit down and it hurts sometimes. I'm like, love you, mean it. So it was just stuff like that, putting trash cans over ourselves and, just hitting each other with whatever we could find. Even doing some kind of weird stuff at school. Like one morning, Jeremy dressed up as Michael Myers. I had a Michael Myers costume. And he rode his bike past the school, just sitting there saying hi to everybody. Of course, again, we thought it was funny. We thought it was pretty hilarious. And of course, everybody else was like, oh, ha, ha, yeah. Again, it was just something we all had in common that we could all just have fun with and do just all these dumb, stupid things. Of course, obviously the summertime, we were all still pretty young. We didn't have, jobs or anything really like that. And so obviously we all got together more and more and more. Sometimes we just, actually hung out. We would just go down to the mall, walk around the mall, do whatever. Or I guess as some of the guys would like to call it, we were going to go down to the mall to scout the girls or whatever. But I was just there just to have fun, actually walk around, look at things. But for me, even to this day, like it never really mattered to me what we did. Just as long as we did it together was all I honestly really ever cared about. I mean, if we all just sat somewhere, watched movies, or again, went out and did some filming or go into the park and messing around and stuff, it never mattered to me because like hanging out, I guess, in middle school, like even during the summer, like the best way I can honestly describe our relationship and everything, or like our bond, was basically like the Losers Club from Stephen King's It from 1990. Like that's just how like close we were. That's just how like basically inseparable we were. Of course, obviously, that all changed differently in the It miniseries, but again, more of a topic to talk about later. So then came ninth grade, and ninth grade was kind of a weird year because, of course, again, we were still doing, again, quote unquote, stunts. We were still getting together all the time, hanging out, doing our thing. But, of course, obviously, the older you get, the more, you're kind of getting more into like getting into relationships and stuff. And ninth grade, that's, yeah, about the time we actually started, kind of getting more into that instead of hanging out with each other and trying to even find time. But we still all made pretty good time, even though we were like with whoever we were with, girl wise. We would still always keep finding time to hang out with each other. So basically, like nothing even really changed. And that was always nice. Even sometimes we'd like bring the girl with, hang out with us or whatever, because everybody knew each other and all hung out. Even at dances, like us guys, obviously, of course, we didn't go out and dance like a lot. We kind of just more wanted to pay our $5, go in there, and just basically all hang out, talk. It never ever mattered. Like I said earlier, it didn't matter what we were doing. Just as long as we were all hanging out, having a good time, it didn't matter. But ninth grade, yeah, we kind of, I don't want to say started growing apart, but again, like I said, we were just kind of trying to balance relationships with friends and doing all that. But everybody's been through things like that. Of course, even like the older you get, you start meeting all these new people and you kind of don't talk to anybody for a while. I mean, everybody's done it. Everybody has done it at some point in time. I can honestly say I've done it a handful of times myself, but now we start moving into our high school years. And basically, again, high school, kind of all the same thing. I mean, we weren't really doing like, again, our stunts or whatever you want to say still. We weren't really doing those all too much. We were still kind of doing stuff, but our big main thing that we did a lot was every time we'd see one of our friends, we'd make it look like we were going to high five them, and then we'd give them kind of a little, kind of like a little nut tap. So basically, like the 3 years we were in high school, we were all just walking around with our hand down the entire time, just watching for everybody. We'd see somebody in there. And like we were just all very, very paranoid, basically. I get kind of like emotional, like talking about this stuff, because, like I said, lately I've just been doing a lot of self-reflecting. Weekends, my fiance, she works, so I sit there a lot and watch movies and do a lot of thinking, trying to find things to do and stuff. And obviously, you guys can maybe kind of see where this is going, but again, we're gonna just work our way to it and whatnot. But yeah, our high school years actually were, again, this kind of the same. course, though, more and more and more, all of us were starting to, meet new people, have new friends, kind of hanging out with our own group, even meeting a new group of friends and kind of bringing them into ours in a weird way. But it was still always just going to be the 8 of us. That was still never, ever going to change. But even like hanging out with that other group of friends, you still had fun with them and stuff, being able to actually do things with them that maybe some of your other friends didn't want to do. But there was always just something not right in a weird way with it. Like, again, you could still have fun, but you just kind of didn't have like that emotional bond, basically, like you had with your other group of friends. That's how it was for me, because I could go hang out with this new group of friends, or if I had classes with them, and I'd sit there and talk to them about certain things. It just was never the same as like talking to like Ethan or Alan or John or any of those guys. It just was never, ever the same. Because most of us kind of always knew where everybody was coming from. Where like the new group of friends, you're still getting to know them. You don't really know a lot about them and anything, but they just never really entirely understood where you were coming from with these certain topics you wanted to talk about or whatnot. And the best thing, too, I loved about high school was we were able to actually spend a lot more like time together, because like you'd be able to get to school in the morning, and of course, they had breakfast and everybody hung out at the cafeteria and whatnot. And we always had our specific table we always sat at, and everybody kind of, in a weird way, had their own specific kind of spot. Like, I always kind of considered us the way we sat at our table kind of like as the circle in That 70s Show, like, Hyde, Kelso, Eric, Fez, and the Donna and Jackie. They all had their own circle, but of course, they were obviously doing that to, get high and smoke, where we were all just doing it just to talk. That I don't know why that's one of the things I actually like missed most about being in school. Man, I'm gonna say this adulting stuff, it's not fun. I was even just talking to my friend Jeremy about this yesterday on the phone. We were talking, and he was just flat out like, adulting sucks. I'm like, yeah, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I'd rather be back in school again. At least back then we were all kind of carefree. We were all able to do our own thing. We were all able to just hang out, not worry about bills and vehicles and cars and all these other things that we all have now in our lives. But fortunately, you can't go back in time. You can't change nothing. But it's kind of starting to get around our high school senior year. It's kind of when things really started to change a lot with us, which I guess I don't know what you guys have experienced, growing up and talking with your parents about stuff, but the one thing that always stuck with me that my dad told me, and this is something that I know a lot of us, sit there and think about and talk about with our friends and all that, and I kept bringing it up to them, but my dad told me one night, we were just sitting there talking, and I think he asked me what I wanted to do after school, and back then I was really, really like hardcore dead set to joining the military. And, I was talking about the guys for a little bit to him, and he told me, he's like, well, you better enjoy it while it lasts, because when high school is over, you're going to learn who your true friends are. because the same friends that you have now in high school might not be there after you get done with school. And, I sat there telling my dad, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. We're all so close. And it was something that the 8 of us always wanted to prove to our parents, that through thick and thin, if we all went our separate ways or whatever, if it wouldn't be forever. It would just be, I guess, in a weird way to say, like, goodbye for now. So that was always something we were proving to our parents. We were always dead set on proving to them that nothing was going to ever break our group apart. Nothing was ever going to not make us see each other, talk to each other. We, even years down the road, we would all, stay in contact, whatnot. Well, unfortunately, high school ends. And a couple of the guys, they go off to college. Of course, college is here in town, so we still got to see them, talk to them, and everything. But even the other friends, we all started getting full-time jobs. We all kind of started, meeting new people again and getting into relationships and just starting to, literally now we've got our diplomas. So now literally becoming adults. Because our last day of school, of course, graduation, we all hopped in my Blazer. We all went and hung out. We literally hung out like almost all night. And even throughout the summer, our final, what we considered kind of like our full final summer together, because, some of us were working part-time here and there and whatnot. Other people were getting ready to go to college and deciding what they wanted to major in and everything else and whatnot. And things were really beginning to change, and I won't deny it, guys. It was scary. It was really scary. Because, as I just said here a little bit ago, I was very, very set on joining the military. I really, really was. But a few different things happened why I didn't join. One of them, I will willingly and literally say it, I ended up getting lazy. Ended up not losing the weight I needed to lose. And because I took the ASVAB, I had a recruiter, I had my job picked out. I already knew where I was going, how long I'd be gone for, when I'd leave, all that kind of stuff. And of course, around that time, though, in October 2010 is when I really kind of start to consider my life really changed and went in a different direction and started rethinking things because, I met a girl and I started thinking differently. I'm like, well, if I leave, who knows? She probably won't be here when I get back and whatnot. And then, unforeseen circumstances happened, and I was just really decided, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go now. And of course, begging, pleading, wanting me back. Finally just decided, you know what, fine, I'll do that. And then I was back in that sense of, oh, well, I don't want to leave then. And then after that final time it happened, when she left me again, I don't even know why, still to this day, why I was so, like, broken, so devastated, so this, so that. And I just, again, like 100% just got lazy, didn't want to do anything, had no motivation to do nothing. So I just said, whatever. I was just going to work and just do whatever. But even through all that hardship, all the heartbreak, the pain, however you want to say it. Those guys were still there for me, like through thick and thin, through good times, bad times, rough times, even some of like the absolute hardest times in my life. There was always those friends. Like even right here, this avatar that I have, this was taken on the 4th of July back in 2011. A good portion of us, there were about 5 of us, we were hanging out that night. This was probably one of the actual last times a bigger group of us got together. But I also kind of want to rewind because it kind of involves what I was talking about earlier with, the whole filming Jackass stuff. But about the summer of 2010, so like right before our senior year of high school, we were all out, we were having fun. And I ended up getting a camera for, it was either Christmas or my birthday or something. And I found out you could actually record videos on it, so I brought it up. I'm like, hey, you guys want to do, make videos again and stuff? And we decided to start doing that. So I decided to make I guess it'd be my second YouTube channel, but it was called Jackass for Life 1993, and that was what started the mini series, the Jackass the mini series. We only did like 6 episodes. I've got 7 videos up, but making those again, another good way for us all to just kind of hang out, do our thing, whatever. Those were good times. In all honesty, you guys, I still have the channel up, so you guys should definitely go check those out. I'm just going to tell you right now, they're not the greatest videos in the world, but I'm very happy with the way they turned out because they were just really fun to make, and they were just really, again, a good way for all of us to just be together, hang out, do whatever we were doing, just whatever we were doing. We just felt invincible. We were together. That's all I cared about. I'm gonna keep saying it. These guys at this point in time were honestly like family to me, like true, honest family. I guess in a weird way, kind of almost stealing lines from like the Fast and Furious, I can't even remember what it is. Travis would know what that is because he loves Fast and Furious. If anybody knows what like the slogan is, let me know here in the chat because, like I said, I'm drawing a blank right now. But yeah, again, we were all just making videos, and then we stopped for about a year. It was like October 2011. We kind of stopped making videos, and of course, I was just starting to get into a relationship. A couple of us were starting to get into relationships, and then we were still hanging out here and there when we could, when we weren't working. And then we decided to do another bit of filming in like about a year later, so like October 2012. And that last video, I'm gonna warn you guys, that is unfortunately when I decided for us to not only just stop making the Jackass videos, but really I just took a good hard look at things. So I guess just to kind of give you guys a quick premise of what happens in the video. So Alan has this old tire, and all right, Star Wars, Star Trek guy, thanks for joining the chat. It was really nice talking to you. But Alan had this old tire, and he also had a tow rope, so I decided to drag it behind my vehicle. So we put the tire on the ground, we put the tow rope through the bottom, and we started off dragging our friend Travis around. And of course, obviously, we're not going like super fast or anything. We're just kind of doing whatever. But it wasn't until a little bit later on we went to a new place to start recording. And unfortunately, things took kind of I don't want to say like a dark turn, but it definitely turned into something that I am personally never going to forget. And I still feel horrible for it to this day. So we went out there, we drug Alan around for a little bit. Of course, we're recording this and whatnot. And then it was John's turn. And of course, mind you guys, we've been dragging this tow rope around for quite a while. So it was John's turn. We were driving down the middle of this dirt road, kind of in the middle of nowhere outside of town. And while we were dragging John, the tow rope broke. Because, obviously dragging it on the ground underneath that tire, it was just a lot of, friction, a lot of heat, and it just finally snapped. And I didn't see him, but John fell off the tire and he rolled around on the ground. And we picked him up, and his face, man, that's something I will never get out of my head. Like, his face was beaten up, bloodied up, and I remember getting him in my vehicle. We went over to Alan's house. We sat there and we cleaned him up. And I couldn't even tell you how many times I told him I was sorry. Like, I felt horrible. I was sorry. He kept saying, "It's okay, man. It's not your fault. Things happen," all that. But the day after that, I took my SD card and I started, editing the video because I was going to upload it that same day. I went through, put in music and all that. And honestly, I don't know why I wasn't even thinking about it until I actually got to the part where John was getting on. And it was recorded him falling off of the tire. And man, I don't know, my heart just sank, and I don't know why. I just started just bawling, editing that video. And I mean bawling. I was texting him throughout the day. I'm like, "Dude, I'm so sorry. I saw exactly how it happened. Don't hate me, man, whatever." He's just like, "Dude, seriously, don't worry about it. It's fine. Things happen." So it was at that point in time, rewatching that entire video and everything, and right then and there, I just decided, that's it. I don't want to do any more jackass videos because I can't risk something like that happening again. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the things we didn't go over the top or do anything super extreme by any means. We just kind of did just stupid little things. If you guys, like I said, if you guys go check out the channel, you'll see exactly the kind of stuff we did. We didn't do anything like jumping off of buildings or doing stuff like that. It was just us doing things we thought were funny. And another memory I actually want to bring up, because I see that Travis is here in the chat. So we were all at a park, and we were all kind of messing around and stuff, and things got a tad bit out of hand, and Travis ended up kicking Jeremy in a certain spot. Again, all the guys watching, I'm sure you guys know where that is. So we decided, because, he was sitting there holding himself, obviously, of course, in quite a bit of pain. And so we, of course, had a camera. So I decided, let's record. Let's record this. So, as you see, here's Travis. So we held, of course, obviously Jeremy in still quite a bit of pain. We sat there and we held Travis, and I was sitting there recording. We spread his legs apart, and we had Tony run up to him, and oh, dude, we recorded it. I cannot find this videotape, but we'll get to that in a second here. But just like the noise was just horrific to hear. Like, it sounded almost like a gunshot going off. Of course, we gave him a little bit, to recover. I know we sound like horrible friends. I know, trust me, I understand. But Travis just shrugged it off. He walked up to Jeremy. He's like, dude, I'm sorry. Of course, sitting there holding himself, and they were both fine. Got over it. Of course, that's the other thing too, even though basically we were all just a family, we all still, bickered and argued and, occasionally, hated each other or had problems with each other. Like, literally every single one of us, had our scuffles with one another, but eventually we'd all get over it. We'd apologize to one another. We'd all just get back to our regular routine. Now, a couple of years after the whole John incident, I guess I want to call it, with John falling off that tire, that's unfortunately really where things took a complete left turn in life. Is basically when we all, I don't want to say all completely split and went our own ways, but we definitely weren't the family we used to be. We all, some of us, had full-time jobs. Some of us were starting a family. Some of us got married. Some of us were just working, doing our own thing. Didn't ever really have time to get together, hang out anymore. And, over the years, I only really talked to about 2 to 3 of these guys. I really only talked to Ethan, Travis for a good while, and Kyle. Other than that, I never heard much from John. I never heard much from Alan. I never heard much from most of the other guys. But as I said at the beginning of this podcast, I just kind of started to, reflect on the past. I've been rewatching all those old videos. I've been just recently, I'm not going to say who and I'm not going to say why, but one of us recently just, came back into our lives here after being gone for a good portion of time, just brought himself back into our lives. So we're kind of, getting back to normal with that, getting used to hanging out and talking to the guy again and whatnot. But I recently just reached out to all of them. I mean, like I said, lately it's mostly been, Ethan I've been talking to, because we kind of know our schedules. Everybody else, again, married, they got families. I completely understand, respect all of that. I know Travis, he just got married here a year or so ago. He's got 2 little girls. Just got a huge promotion at work. He's doing his thing. Travis, if you are still in the chat, congrats, man. I am extremely happy for you, and much love and respect for you on all of those parts. But I wanted to reach out to them because I've had that feeling like lately, like I've just had something missing. And, I'm not saying, I'm not happy with my life. I'm not saying I'm, depressed. I'm not any of those kind of things. I've just over the last like 5 to 6 years, there's just always had that feeling of something is missing. Well, you tell them hi and you tell them I miss them like crazy. But of course, obviously we've all got, our family members. I've got a sister, I've got two brothers, I've got my fiance, we've got an abundance of animals that we do not need, but don't need to get into that. That's a whole nother story in and of itself. But there's always been a void, and of course, with that friend coming back in, a lot of things have been popping back up. And again, like I said, I've just been rewatching those old videos. And again, all the memories just been swelling back up. Rewatching them, seeing how close we all used to be. And I've reached out. It'd be cool for all of us to just get together, hang out again like we used to, even if it's just one time. Like, that's honestly all I would need. I've told them all, I'm not saying, we don't all need to, be super close and, get together every single weekend and be stupid again. Like, yeah, it would be cool to, go back in time to when we were all 10 years younger and do all the dumb things we used to do and not have to, again, worry about bills, worry about cars, worry about jobs, any of that kind of stuff. But again, adulting sucks. It's part of life. We all got to get over it and get through it. But that was also why I wanted to make this podcast, because I've just had all this on my mind, and I've just wanted to get it out there, get into the open about things. And again, I've reached out, I've gave these guys, my thoughts on things, and I've heard from most of them. The vast majority of them do want to try and get back together. Like I said, even if it's just one time, I'm cool with that. Things over time change. Like, the older you get, you're going to lose people. You're going to meet new people. You're going to discover new things you like. You're going to learn these new trades. You're going to discover things about yourself you didn't even know existed. I'm still doing that to this day. I'm still figuring things out. I mean, I never thought I'd be this deep into like making a YouTube channel and being like super obsessed with making videos. But at the same time, if it wasn't for me making the jackass videos, making that YouTube channel, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. I probably wouldn't be here making videos, doing this podcast, talking to you guys. That's also just another huge benefit from my friends, my family. And I've just been, again, missing them like crazy. I don't know how many of them are listening, but if you guys are listening, you guys have all been on my mind a lot over the years. Sucks we all grew apart as far as we did. It sucks we don't talk as much as we do, but best thing we can do is just try and reconnect. And if things end up not working out, gave it the old college try, I guess we can say. So, but guys, I think that's probably going to do it for this podcast. Like I said, I just wanted to make this because I've had all these things on my mind. I wanted to get these out in the open and just really express how I feel about this. And I'm hoping the guys watch this If you guys do, definitely, reach out, give me your thoughts, let me know what you thought. But with that being said, you guys, as always, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and make sure you turn on your notifications so you guys do not miss another podcast. With that being said, SPC Austin out.